BereaRib.com. Get you the Berea Rib Fun Pack right now and start your summer off right out there at the fairgrounds for Memorial Day weekend. Caller 10. It's yours. Good luck. 216-578-1007 or 800-348-1007.
Why does everybody have to be on all the time these days?
Can't turn it off.
No, seriously. People are wondering why this guy is even on.
Turn it off.
Alan Cox on 100.7 WMMS.
Speaking of summer, I'm going to have Cedar Point passes for you all next week. Cedar Point, I think, opened the season on Friday, this past Friday. They've got the all-new boardwalk. They've got the Grand Pavilion, which is a big new dining venue and all kinds of stuff. So I don't know if there are any new roller coasters out there. I haven't heard anything about it.
They got that mouse one, the mousetrap one, where it's just like the little cars.
Is that for kids?
No, it's like a full roller coaster, but it's like a throwback kind of roller coaster, though.
Okay. Well, they've zhuzhed it up out there in Sandusky. So next week, I'll have Cedar Point passes for you. Also, tickets for Paramore at the Romo Fijo next week. And if you want to see Ice Nine Kills, that'll be a 2 hours to midnight show with August Burns Red and Veil of Maya at the Agora in August. You can leave us voicemails anytime on the After Hours line, which is 216-986-8903.
Alan, it's John from Akron. You were going through your beer with cheese the other day, and I just wanted to give a quick shout-out to Larry from Little Falls, New York. Larry, you don't know me, I don't know you, but I'd say there is a solid chance we are related. My mother is from Little Falls, and they have a yearly family reunion, and I just have memories of being a kid, being dragged to that family reunion every year. And everywhere you go in that whole town, gas stations, grocery stores, everybody you run into is all like, hey, you're going to be at the reunion later? And, there's not much I like about my dad, but I'm happy that my mom married a rando from Ohio because that gene pool out there in Little Falls can use some variety.
Little Falls. All right. Well, it sounds like everybody in that town is related. Because there's a Little Falls in New Jersey, too, I think. But he said New York. Larry from Little Falls. All right, well, there you go. The second smallest population of any town in the state. 4,900 people. Up there in Herkimer.
Herkimer County.
Up there in Herkimer County.
Herkimer County.
Yeah, well, it's only a short 6-hour drive from Cleveland, Ohio, if you want to. I don't know what their points of interest are, but if you ever want to visit the tiny little burg of Little Falls, you can go up there. What do they have going for them? Who are the notable people from Little Falls? Nicholas Herkimer. Nobody that I've ever heard of, but whatever. You can go up there, and Mike in Akron might be part of the lineage of that town. And what an exciting time. There are 2 radio stations in Little Falls. There's 1230 AM and 105.5 FM. It's Kiss 105.5 in Little Falls, man. Kiss FM. Yeah!
I watched that dumb movie you told me to watch yesterday.
Stop watching horror movies.
What did I tell you to watch?
Resurrection.
Oh, you didn't like it? It's pretty wild, right? When she's telling that girl what happened.
Well, that monologue is like the best part of the movie. But here's the conclusion I came to last night, because Brian started cracking up immediately when it ended because he knew how mad I was going to be. And I'm like, maybe I am not smart enough to understand the endings of horror movies. Because that one in particular could have gone a couple different ways. Right? The premise of, can we just talk about it? We're not going to ruin it for anybody.
Well, here's the
Spoiler
thing. By the
alert.
time you get to the end of it, everyone assumes, including the viewer, that she is mentally ill.
Correct.
But
So,
then the kid...
But then she's not?
Well,
that's why these endings are so bad, is because there is no explanation.
They're just vague. You don't like vague endings.
I don't like vague endings. One of them, and don't cancel me for saying this, one of the main things that drives the story along is that the man has a baby inside of him, okay, which we know is not the truth. So
Right.
that's part of it that makes everyone be like, oh, she's crazy. She's losing her mind. Then at the end of the movie, it was just very frustrating because I'm like, is this supposed to be symbolic? Is this supposed to be like, is there a bigger like picture that I'm not seeing?
Is she actually mentally ill and none of that's real, but the guy is still dead?
Right. Is she mentally ill, or is this like a revenge story that she made up how it ends? You know what I mean? Like,
Except at the end, her daughter is with her and knows what's going on, and
that's why I'm saying is that's why the endings of horror,
Yeah.
suspense, thriller movies frustrate
and
me
this
so
isn't
much.
even really a horror movie.
No, it's more like suspense
Yeah,
thriller.
I just thought it was a cool movie that like nobody saw.
Well, and
And,
the premise of it is like on that revenge thing. She has an abusive ex, and he shows up out of nowhere,
Yep.
and his cult overtones, and like I liked the idea of it, but again, with endings that are so open ended, I think that's what frustrates me the most.
You know, I love horror movies so much that I'm really trying to dial in and give you one that you'll dig. I mean, you liked From Black?
From Black was pretty good because it had an ending. It all wrapped up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the big thing to me is if I'm going to invest 2 hours into something, you cannot leave it like, well, what do you think happened?
I
Like,
just saw the new Fast and Furious.
how's the
and,
ending?
It's
Oh, yeah, you went to
open-ended
see
because
Fast
it's a
X.
3-part series.
Oh my
What?
God.
Yeah.
3 parts?
Yeah.
Boy, they're dragging out the farewell.
I'll tell you what, though, Jason Momoa
Oh,
is great in it. He's
gorgeous.
ridiculous.
He's perfect.
He's pretty funny, and he's just over the top. And, I mean, it's a Fast and the Furious movie. This
You know
one's
what
a
you're
little
getting.
more grounded than the last one, considering they took a Fiero to space. But it's still pretty ridiculous.
Yeah,
and
somebody
over the
wrote an
top.
article after seeing that movie, and they're like, where exactly in the franchise timeline did they just completely do away with reality?
Mhm.
And they went from being car thieves to saving the world.
Right. It was around the 5th one, I think, or maybe the 6th one, because the 5th one was when they robbed a drug dealer that plays into the one that is going on
I
now.
think I've seen 2 of them.
Yeah, they're wild though. It's just ridiculous.
I watched that Harry Styles movie. I thought it was the gay one, because
They're all the gay one.
that's what I thought. But this wasn't where he played a gay guy. That's the policeman. I watched Don't Worry, Darling.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
I was
With Florence Pugh?
I was pissed about that ending. Oh, I was so mad
Well, I didn't see it.
because I want to see like the aftermath. But I was like, there's like
I think that Florence Pugh is foxy, boy.
he does a bunch of going down on her that whole movie.
That's
And I'm
all
like,
the movie is?
It is. It's literally he does it like every
He,
day.
and he looks up and says, "Don't worry, darling," and then it
I'll
fades to
find
black.
it.
I'm getting close.
There's signs. I am getting
Right.
close.
And Harry Styles. I'll
Is that a
figure
moan
it
of
out.
pleasure
Yeah.
or annoyance?
Frustration.
Like we don't see any of him. I'm like, all right. How many times is he gonna do this? But that was like the highlight. I'm like, okay, this is his big moment. He has to make it seem convincing.
Poundcake gets angry if a woman on screen is having oral sex done to her.
Yeah.
It's not
He's
even that-
mad.
Well, especially when I thought it was the gay movie, I was like, ooh, Harry Styles. I didn't see the one at Twitter. Gay Twitter was going crazy, and everyone was like, oh, this is Harry Styles' breakout role. I didn't know he had 2 coming out within a year. So the policeman is on like Amazon Prime. So now
They're trying to make him an actor, but everybody says he can't act.
He can't. His accent was going in and out. Like he's supposed to play 1960s American, like, with the suits and the car and everything. And I heard distinctively, you know how much I love a British accent. It was coming in and out. I'm like,
You should have played it then.
I love my dog, bitch.
There was more dialogue than I love my doog.
I love my dog.
I'm going to give you 2 movies, Mary.
Oh, God.
You know Rebecca Hall that was in Resurrection?
Yes.
She's in a movie called The Night House. I think it's only a couple years old. The Night House.
Okay.
It's got a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Okay.
And the guy who directed that movie directed a movie a few years earlier called The Ritual, about 4 guys that go backpacking into the woods.
Has that got a short guy with glasses in it?
Um,
Not Seth Green.
I
I'm not thinking of Without a Paddle. The Ritual.
without a pet. The Ritual.
I think Brian might have seen this.
It's good. It's got
Is
a
this
beginning,
the
a
one where
middle, and an end.
they end up like
It's like folk horror, kind of, if you're into that.
Okay.
There's a midsummer vibe.
I know
to it.
you are like so not into spoiling movies, but nobody's seeing these. Is this the one where they like get trapped by a cult and they make you become part of nature? Where they like turn you into trees and stuff?
No.
What
This is where
have you seen that
they
one?
find a creature in the woods and
Okay.
where
Well,
they
don't
turn you into trees.
There's one that Brian was watching, and of course I ended up watching, where like there's this nature cult, these people who live out in the forest, and some tourist backpackers find these people who live in the forest, and they like convince them to join their cult, and then but the whole ending is that they strap you to a tree and let you die until you become part of nature. And like torture you. I don't remember
that
what it was
sounds
called.
familiar, but that's not. No, I saw a movie not long ago. God, what was it? Where there's like spores in the earth.
Maybe that's what it is.
It was not good, and everybody was talking about, oh, this great movie for people who are into that kind of stuff. Oh God, what was it
Not
called?
The Happening.
I think In the Earth was the one that I saw. It was like an Irish movie about these scientists that go out, and it turns out that there's like this. Yeah, it was really highly like people who like that kind of stuff are like, oh, this movie's great. Director was good. It stunk. In the Earth is the one.
Well,
I don't
you know
know
what
the one
you
you're
can't
talking about.
Google is scary movie cult in the woods because you're gonna get 500 results.
Is it a newer movie? Like I watched Blood on Satan's Claw the other night, but that's like from 1974.
No, it was newer. He watched it last year. This was something he watched during our October.
Okay.
Can I give you a recommendation for a movie?
Is it a Steve Carell movie?
No, it's close though. It's How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
I've seen that and I like it.
Yeah,
It is terrifying.
I know.
You know what else I liked? The Ugly Truth with
Yeah.
Gerard Butler and Katherine Heigl.
That, or we'll go with The
Terrifying.
Duff, or 28
Duff.
Days, not 28 days later.
No, the one with Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
While you were sleeping.
The Wedding Date, Easy A, just any, something that you would actually enjoy.
Yeah.
Just stop watching horror movies.
You're not talking about The Guardian from 30 years ago.
How about The Dilemma?
No, I don't remember. I would even
How
if
about
you
No
told
Strings
me,
Attached?
Yeah, right. What's the one? Friends with Benefits with Justin Timberlake
Yep.
and Mila Kunis. Yeah, no, I don't remember what it was called, but yeah, that's my problem.
Okay.
None of them have good endings.
So
What about Heat? She's probably never
I
seen
also don't
Heat.
have 5.5 hours to watch a movie.
It's 2.5 hours.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
it's close to
like 3 hours and 9 minutes.
Something like that,
Because it's
yeah.
on Hulu or something right now.
It's
yeah,
on
it's constantly
Netflix.
recommended to me, and I'm like, when I get a spare 3 hours.
Hey, on
There
your
you
day
go,
off.
on your day off.
On your Saturday with nothing to do.
That was hypothetical. I will hypothetically watch Heat. Josh in St. Louis.
Hey, Alan, how you doing, my man?
What's going on?
So I haven't been able to catch the show this week because circumstances. Did you make it to Clutch over the weekend?
No, it was on Mother's Day.
Oh, okay. You didn't? Yeah, well, all right.
No, I was not.
Anyway,
I was going to say, bye, honey.
Bye.
Bye, mother of my child. I'm going to see Clutch. No, I was solo. She split anyway, so I was solo dadding. But no, I did not go see Clutch.
So, regrettably, I did. I think it was my 18th Clutch show.
Regrettably.
And, yeah, well, so I'm 43 and I'm always in the mosh pit. And I think I might be getting too old. I ended
Yeah.
up getting blindsided. In the pit by a big guy, and it turns out it broke my rib number 8. I
Yeah.
just got out of the ER just in time to hear your show. Guys were running through the pit full speed and blindsided people, and I got one on the right shoulder, and my elbow looked like I had an egg under the skin during the concert, and I thought I broke my pelvis.
Ugh.
And then I went to the
Man,
doctor.
I wasn't even a
and got
pit.
all the-
I wasn't even a pit guy when I was a kid or a teenager. I'm like, I love the music, man. I want to. I got nothing to prove to anybody, and I want to keep everything intact. Thank you very much. You are absolutely too old to be down there, Josh. You're 20 years too old. What are you trying to
yeah,
prove?
I've
Everybody's
been
all
in-
these metalheads trying to prove they still got it. Like, just enjoy the band.
You know, I've been in the pit for Clutch ever since I was like 14 years old, and certain songs come on and you just feel that adrenaline rush and you go for it.
Here's the thing, though.
leading
Back in the
up to
day, I'm a little bit older than you, Josh, but not by much. But back in the day, I remember the pit was for really heavy bands. Now, any rock show where there's more than 10 people in front of the stage, they just start swirling and turn into a pit. Like, it's not Slayer,
Yeah, Panic
it's
at the Disco is
Clutch.
dangerous.
I mean,
Panic at the
right.
Disco.
That Panic at the Disco pit, boy, you got to look out.
They played at the biggest venue with the biggest dance floor here in St. Louis.
Were they at the pageant?
On
Where were
Friday
they?
night. No, they're at it's a place called the Factory. It's set up just like the pageant, but it's probably 10 times bigger dance floor.
Oh, okay.
So it's beautiful. It's a wonderful venue. But man, I had to call you because I know you're a Clutch fan and you're of the similar age as me, and I'm like, I got to tell him that I'm a dumbass.
I am
I'm a
not.
dummy
No, listen,
because,
you got to live your life, Josh, but I am not a pit guy. I love watching the band. I'll do it from the box, boy. I want to see the band. I don't want some a-hole's elbow going into the side of my skull. Like, that's not a good time for me. Some people got some stuff they got to work out, and that's why they're in the pit, but I'm like, I got nothing to prove, man. And, I hope you feel...
I had my nose broke at a Clutch concert about 10 years ago at Pops. You know Pops.
Yes.
Over on the east side.
Yeah.
And that was nothing. That was a minor pain. I'm regretting it, but I'm sitting here watching your show, and I can barely breathe, and I was like, I got to give Alan a call. Just
Yeah,
tell him
man,
that-
if you're look at me, I'm 51, I'm moving all my limbs.
Yeah.
Man,
No
I can
eggs under
stretch.
your
Oh,
skin.
come on. I'm spry, homie. And I'm not missing any shows I don't want to miss.
Those doctors were so cocky walking up to me, like walking normally. I was like, I see what you guys are doing.
Yeah, I
I
see your full range of motion, and I raise you a broken nose. All right, well, feel better, Josh. There's Josh who did not vominos when he should have there at the Clutch show in St. Louis. Maybe he's just having a bad time seeing Clutch. Breaks his nose one time. He's got eggs under his elbows now or whatever.
Maybe he just has weak bones.
Weak bones,
Vitamin
yeah.
D deficient or
Maybe
something.
get some sunlight, Josh. I don't know how much of that there is in St. Louis these days, but what are you going to do?
My goodness. I'm sorry.
Good night, nurse. Are you
I'm
okay
sorry.
over there?
I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm so sorry.
You come back with the Rona?
No.
I don't know.
Twice? No.
I don't know. That's what everybody thinks. Ask Mary if she's seen the original Pet Cemetery.
No.
Oof.
Even I've seen
How do you
it.
feel about Achilles' tendons getting cut?
They did that in that movie last night.
Well, there you go.
That's really gross.
Again, stop watching horror movies. Watch something you'll enjoy.
Well, see, now at this time, now that I know I'm not afraid of them, because that was the big deal last year, is that I was worried that I was going to have nightmares. Now that I know I am mostly annoyed by them, now I'm determined to find one that I like. It's almost like a challenge at this point. I might even start a podcast about it. That's how passionate. That's how Mayor's Horror Corner. Come on over. And
She
we'll
said
talk.
horror,
You might wanna
guys.
work on that
no,
name.
no.
She said
I know.
horror. It's
I
the
know.
enunciation that's key.
I know.
Mary
what I
is
said.
thinking of the miniseries Black Spot on
No.
Netflix.
Black
you said it was
Spot.
a movie. This isn't a police inspector.
Black
who's going-
Spot Netflix.
French? Was it subtitled?
I don't remember. Brian was watching it.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe it was. Maybe it was that. I don't know.
Hmm.
No, it wasn't that. Now that I look at it, that's not it.
Okay.
I text him, but here's the thing: I feel
matter.
like you can't look up horror movies because what's the thing you watch
Because
about
they all
the
have
people
right,
who in the
yes.
woods and
Yeah.
they get split off one by one? You know, you're like, oh, every movie ever.
Maybe just start watching Seinfeld. Just go in early.
Just go back to the
to
office.
1989 and
Maybe.
I'm going to take a break. If you want to shoot a text in here, 35192. You can watch live at alancoxshow.com.
The Alan Cox Show on 100.7 WMMS.